Good evening and welcome to another edition of Rebelwatch. I'm your host Cameron Hass, and alongside me is NewsWatch sports anchor Jayson Kern and sports reporter Graeme Farrell. We have a lot of exciting things to talk about tonight. Obviously, men's and women's basketball seasons are in the thick of things right now, and baseball season and softball season are right around the corner. But starting things out with the men's basketball team, they're obviously coming off a tough loss on the road against Kentucky. How do you feel about that loss? Were you expecting it?
It's always hard to go into Rupp Arena and win just because Big Blue Nation is just known for being a powerhouse. The one thing that I will say that stood out from the beginning was that Kentucky was the aggressor, and we just allowed too many runs by them to get at. We were getting it close. We were inching closer and closer, but then they would go on a run, and it just really took our went out of our sails, and it was tough. Matthew Morrell and both Jamin Brakefield had 16 points, but you can't expect to win a basketball game when you shoot 37% overall from the field, 22% behind the arc. And I said before the game that we needed to shoot better behind the three to win this game. Our defense did its job when it came to turnovers, and we had our chance to stay in this game. Kentucky nowhere near played their best basketball, and it sucks to say that because we could have easily went into that arena and won that game.
Yeah, and the biggest thing from this game was you just got to hit the open shots. There were so many open shots that we just couldn't handle. And again, like we said against South Carolina, only 4 threes. This game, only 5 threes. That's what I think is hurting us a little bit. And another thing I've been talking about is we kind of played Kentucky at the worst time. They have never lost 3 straight games at home. They lost to Florida, Tennessee, Gonzaga.
And they were due.
And they were due.
It was also the first time they had a full roster.
That's exactly it. And it's just like, man, I still have faith in this team. We're still a good team, but it's like it's Kentucky, and they have never lost 3 in a row. You think they're gonna lose 4 in a row? No, we got off to a really hot start, I will say. And it's just once Reed Shepherd came off the bench and just started draining those deep threes, I was like, man, we're in for a long game. We were down 14 at half when we were up 7 in the first half, so that's not the best look. Ended up losing by 12. But we hung in there in the second half. We played good basketball. It wasn't the best basketball we've seen. But again, like you said, to go into Rupp Arena and win a basketball game is one of the harder things to do in college basketball. But looking at the scheme of things, there were good signs. There were positive signs. Like you said, the turnovers were really good. The biggest thing from this game was we only gave up 3 offensive rebounds. Our biggest struggle was rebounding on defense. And that was what usually kills us. And Kentucky did not do well on the offensive boards, which really was a reason why it's just another positive sign for looking into the future. And again, that loss doesn't define the season. It's no one really goes into Kentucky and wins, but you got to bounce back after that one.
You talk about how Shepherd came off the bench, and just for he was a spark for his team. We've had none of that this season, I feel like. Again, only combined.
That's honestly so true.
Combined 8 points in this game from our bench. Still, I'm going to say, Brandon Murray, 22 points, and you go out there and only get 2 points for us, 1 of 5 from the field. You got to be better because he's the leading guy of that second unit, and he's a lockdown defender, and we're playing him a lot because he is bigger than Juju Murray, and it's tough because we're not getting the offensive translation, and it's tough for us to, try to go on these runs, especially when we, during the game in Kentucky, we would put him in, but wouldn't get anything on offense going, but our defense would get the turnover. It's a tough recipe right now for the team.
And you bring up such a good point because in the state game, TJ Caldwell, 18 points, looked fantastic, couldn't miss. And the next game versus Auburn, a goose egg.
Disappeared.
A goose egg. And you make such a good point, our bench is non-existent most of the time. And Brandon Murray, who was from Georgetown, he averaged 15 points a game, which let's go. And I just don't think he's really fitting in well with the scheme we have right now. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said last week, this team is so early into playing with each other. So again, this is big. As we speak right now, Ole Miss is the last 4 in. Last week we were 8 seed, we were 7 seed, and everything was looking great. It's just we can't win the big games. Mm-hmm. We cannot win the big games. We're up 9 against Auburn and lose by 14. And you have a lead against Kentucky, and it goes away. You had a shot against South Carolina to take the lead, and it just couldn't happen. We're close. We just haven't gotten over that hump yet, and that's what I want to see in the coming games. We have Missouri on Saturday. Again, that should be a win. That really should be a win. They're last in the SEC. That should be a win at home. And then next Wednesday at State, you have to go to the hump and win a game there. We barely beat them here by 4. To go to the hump and win a game, it's not going to be easy because they only have 2 losses at home this year. But again, like this is really where we're going to see what this team's made of.
I agree with that because coming down the stretch, like you said, we're the last 4 in, and these games are so critical. Also, that State environment, it's going to be insane. Then you have South Carolina that comes here home, and then we also have Alabama who comes here. And to the committee, if we lose at home to either one of those teams, it's going to really affect our chances.
You saw South Carolina just lost by 40 to Auburn.
Yeah, on the road, that place is already hard enough to play in. But I'm just a little bit worried about this team. They just don't have the same intensity on the road as they do at home.
Yeah.
And the NCAA tournament, none of them are home games. They're all on the road. So how is your team
How are you going to actually be able to do anything in the tournament if you
exactly.
get in?
Yeah,
so,
that A&M win was big, but like you still have to go to Missouri. That's not a big win on the road at Missouri.
Yeah, 1-5 on the road in the SEC in conference play.
I don't want to say it, but I feel like that State game is it's really important.
Huge.
It's really, really important because the committee loves road wins. They love road wins, and Ole Miss doesn't have a lot. They have A&M, and UCF is playing good basketball right now, but that's at a conference game. You got to win the road games in the conference. But again, I can't wait to see what this team's made of in the coming days.
Yeah, looking ahead to the tournament, Ole Miss is kind of in the middle of the SEC right now. Do you think they're going to be able to pull off, like, ultimately and get it in the tournament, or do you think in the upcoming games they're not going to be able to pull out the wins they need?
I think that State game is going to really show who this team is, and I believe they'll break through that game, and this will allow them to get to the tournament because road wins are valued more. I just believe that the real key factor that will help us is going to be the SEC tournament when that comes into play.
Got to win a game there.
Got to win a couple of games because it will also just help our confidence going in. Even if we don't win it, we just need some sort of confidence moving forward.
Also, another really interesting game is at Georgia. Georgia, they're not. You don't think of them as a powerhouse, but they are a really good home team, and they have a couple really good home wins. So if we can go into Georgia and win a game there, that would be a huge step. But if you go to Georgia and lose that game, it's only going to hurt your chances. But looking at the schedule, it's not the hardest schedule I've ever seen. Missouri twice, they're the last team in the SEC. South Carolina at home, Texas A&M at home. Those are all winnable games. If you win those 4 and win a game in Nashville, which let's just say, making the tournament would be just fantastic for this program.
Yeah, for sure. But hopefully everything goes in their favor at the end of the day. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the women's basketball team and their chances for the tournament.
When the mornings are hot, the afternoons are hotter, and football is on its way back. Now, games is won by the battles fought in August. Everyone that's not revered as an Ole Miss legend has been in your shoes before, trying to survive at Mississippi Heat, competing for a spot, and knowing the sacrifice that it takes to make it in this league. You go into this money collection of men from 100 different places, and if you work, you emerge from it as one team with one goal and one heartbeat. The SEC awaits you. And if they don't know who you are now, they will soon.
Where are we gonna go?
Someplace warm. A place where the beer flows like wine. Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called
Oxford, Mississippi.
To see it is to believe it. You hear about it, but you just have to see the party.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grove.
The sound and fury are here.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Did he got a toe down?
Pageantry, the pride, the pomp is unmatched and unrivaled.
The stadium has come unhinged.
This is what college football is all about.
Oh, as he gets walloped.
No coach is having more fun than
This is the place to be in college football right now.
Welcome back. We're going to be talking about the women's basketball team now. They're actually kind of in a little bit of a rough patch, but overall they're still upper mid in the SEC standings. They're coming off, obviously, of a pretty big loss to Texas A&M. It was a large margin. Were you expecting like that? Not just the loss alone, but how big of a loss it was.
Yeah, and that really hurts because last week we talked about it's so hard to go into South Carolina and win a game, and I wouldn't say the 30-point loss was expected, but like we thought it would have been a little bit closer. And that's like, all right, Texas A&M, this is a great bounce back game. Texas A&M is a good team, so this would be a great win for the committee. And you get blown out on your home court. It's frustrating, but again, a rough patch. We're in a rough patch, and that's not trying to defend this team. It's just like when it comes to SEC play, it's in women's basketball, it's really anyone's game because besides the LSU and South Carolina of the SEC, it's really a lot of even teams. And we still have a lot of good wins in our belt. We're a projected 8th seed right now. But looking at coming up, State on Sunday comes here. They're 20-6. They're a really underrated team, and that would be a massive win. Number one, it'd be a big win for the committee, and it would be a big win for our state. So, again, looking in the future, 8th seed right now. I do like our chances. Like, again, who knows what's going to happen in the Florida game. Again, like I said for men's basketball, I'm excited to see because like I love like this kind of time during basketball season. It's like everyone's fighting for their seasons right now. So it's just a lot of good basketball being played. So again, for Ole Miss's sake, I just can't wait to see how Coach Yo responds.
I'm just going to say I'm going to throw a little shot at her. You can't blame this one on the crowd. Your team had no energy.
Yeah, there's
this was awful. You can't be doing this mid-February. At home, losing to a team that you've already beat 4 straight years. Could have been 5th. And we're like, what's up with that? Only thing that I will say, shout out to Snuda Collins. Top 5 now for most threes made in women's basketball for Ole Miss. She played a great game. She's still one of our key factors. I'm just a little upset at like the way that they played.
Confused.
I'm confused. Yeah, I'm just like, how are you gonna put forth? You need to put the effort on the court every night, and if you're not doing it night in, night out, it's gonna show. And they talk about how they want to get back to where they were, the Sweet 16. It doesn't seem like this team has the same fight as last year.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can't blame the crowd, but like if you want the Oxford community to believe, you can't get blown out like that in your home court.
Right.
You really can't.
And that's harder to like tell people to come out, come to the game, bring the energy.
Hey guys, come out. We're really good. We just got blown out by 20.
Exactly.
It's really tough. And again, like I love Coach Yo. I can talk forever about Coach Yo. She's the best. But when it comes to the actual basketball part, it's like you're not a guaranteed spot in March Madness. You gotta win these games, and that's just a loss would have been like, oh, like that's annoying. But to get blown out like that again, like you said, it's very frustrating.
Right. With the state game coming up, obviously, do you think that to get the win, like obviously it'll be a big crowd. It's obviously a big rival game. If they got that one under their belt, do you think that'll help them get remotivated, some new energy brought back to the team?
Definitely think so, because a win against your rival should do that to your team. It should show that, hey, like you guys dominate your state. It's like also like let's go at it. Let's see every other state and have them play their basketball. We'll play our basketball and we can beat them at it. So that's what they want to do. Obviously, when it comes to the tournament, 3 games out of 6 left are at home. That's huge. If they win 3 of those, they should be an easy lock for the tournament.
100%.
Yeah. The tournament chances, like you said, they're sitting at the 8-9 seed right now. Do you think they'll kind of stay that way, or do you think they might get bumped down, kind of how like the men did?
You never really know.
Yeah.
Like you never. Like it's such a up and down. Like in both men's and women's with seeding.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1 week, Ole Miss's men's are 8, then they're projected last 4 in, and same with women's. They started off as like a 10 seed. Now they're at an 8. You got to get out of this rough patch. You need to beat Florida on the road. That would be a great step. But you have I hate to say it, you cannot lose to State at home on Sunday. Especially if there's a big crowd and you have all that energy and State comes in. Again, I don't want to say it's a must-win, but I feel like it's a must-win. It's really a must-win.
Yeah.
It's a must-win.
Well, hopefully they get the win, bring some new energy. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the softball team and looking ahead to their season.
Ole Miss 18th NCAA tournament appearance.
This is fun, folks, as Baker's peeling it. Little heat check. Snow Collins for 3.
Said, I love Madison Scott.
Ole Miss Rebels are having a lot of fun, and you can see why.
My passion is journalism. Here at the University of Mississippi, we produce a nightly half-hour newscast, broadcasting regionally on cable and globally on the World Wide Web. It's the kind of experience that is preparing me to walk into any news station in the country with the skills and abilities I need to succeed. So it's not just preparing me for the real world, it is the real world.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Welcome back. We're now going to be talking about the Rebel softball team. They started out their season last weekend. They headed to the Paradise Classic, which is in Hawaii. They won all their games there except the very first game against BYU. They dropped that game there, but obviously got a lot of wins under their belt. Do you think these wins, brought some momentum and to lead them into this first half of their season?
Well, 100%. Also, first off, to go play in Hawaii is really hard in itself because that is, number one, it's
That's
a
far travel.
It's a far travel. It's not the same time zone.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. So to drop the first game is not the end of the world. It's really not. And this team is supposed to be is really good this year. They have a lot of really good players from Julie Lassiter and Jaden Pone. A lot of really, really good bats. Yeah, we dropped the first game 7-4, but have won 4 straight since. We beat Nevada, beat Kansas City, and then swept Hawaii 2 times in a row. And in those games, 13 hits as a season high, 13 hits, and then 9 hits in back-to-back games, and that just shows. And like I said, Lassiter and Pome both had 3 hits in those games, and they just look really confident so far. But when you think about how it's also kind of funny how we're starting the season in Hawaii. You would never picture Ole Miss softball starting in Hawaii, but coming up, they still have more games to play in tournaments, and with their stadium, just who knows?
It's going to be an interesting dynamic. No one really knows how it's going to be
Who knows
working
what's
out.
going on with the stadium and everything? But it's cool to see them playing teams that we never ever play. Next we play Pitt, then we got Clemson coming up. So it's cool to play other big time schools that we just never get to play. But again, they looked really good in those last 4 games of the Classic. So again, I'm really excited to see what this team's made of this year.
Yeah, you talk about Julia Lassiter. She's been on fire. She's leading the offensive charge, leading the team in doubles, and leading the team in on-base percentage. She's done a great job, but switching to the defensive side, the pitching rotation, after that first game versus BYU was tough, but then they only allowed 4 runs in 4 games. Oh, you can't ask for more than that. That's a great job by the defensive side of the ball. The ladies are looking to make another tournament run. I think they'll be able to do it. They got a strong squad this year, so I'm excited for them.
Yeah, but in terms of preseason expectations, they are kind of low. They were put ranked 12 out of 13. Do you think that'll put a chip on the girls' shoulders?
Oh, for surely. And they're going to feel like they're being, undervalued, underrated, and they're going to have that chip on their shoulder, and they're going to say, hey, we're the underdog. Let's go after it this season. We can beat anyone that comes across us.
And I agree. And, this is, I feel like we've talked about this before. Playing in the SEC is it's so annoying because every school is good.
Yeah.
Every sport, every single school is good. So when you think about, Ole Miss is ranked second to last in the standings. Okay, I mean, there's a lot of really, really even teams, and a lot of people want to come play. I just hope for this season that this home field advantage doesn't kill us. That's one thing I'm worried about. Is this team is really good, but when they don't have an established home field yet, it's like, will that hurt recruiting in the future? Who knows what's going to do? But for this year, if I'm an Ole Miss player and I'm playing my home games at different spots throughout the season, again, because no one knows exactly what's going to be happening with the stadium, because it's not supposed to be done until 2025. So that's this entire season. It's going to not.
Once it's all said and done, it'll be really nice. But in terms of this season, it's going to be kind of hard to even get fans to get an urge to come to the games. But
and that's why I think playing in Hawaii and then going to Kennesaw State, playing there, and then playing in the Clemson tournament is great. We don't play our first home game till March 1st. So that's a little bit of stress off the shoulders. Go play at different spots and don't worry about the home situation right now. Go win the games you need to win. Build a resume right now before SEC play starts, and let's go from there.
Yeah. At the Ole Miss Classic, I think too that'll be good for them. They're playing smaller schools, so I think that'll be a good way for them to kind of get used to whatever their home field is going to be looking like. But yeah, hopefully they will have a good season. But we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're talking about the Ole Miss baseball team.
The dynamic freshman is starting to make his impact.
Dagger with the shot clock down to 1.
That 3-ball drops for Jamin Brakefield.
Fagan from the corner with a triple. Farrell for 3, and that's a big response. 3-ball, yes. Miss shooting lights out at the pavilion.
And give him one more. Wow. Alley-oop.
Well, you can't teach that. Well, that should give Ole Miss a boost.
Creating a legacy takes time, takes dedication, spirit, and a greater vision. That vision starts here at the University of Mississippi. What will you be remembered by? Your character, your contributions, your friendship. Your legacy will define who we are now and who we are becoming for our state, our students, and our future. Ole Miss, build your legacy.
We are rebels. For more than 160 years, we've been accomplishing the impossible, from conducting the world's first lung transplant to helping prove Einstein was right. From preserving the past to saving the future. We are Mississippi's flagship university, a place where passion and learning unite, where friends become family, where small-town charm meets world-class innovation. We are the University of Mississippi. We are Ole Miss.
Welcome back. We're now going to be talking about the baseball team. They're getting the start of their season this upcoming weekend, also in Hawaii. A lot of new faces on the roster, a lot of young talent, but Who do you think who sticks out to you? Who do you think will be a good weapon?
I believe that Andrew Fisher, the third baseman from Duke, he was a freshman All-American last year. I think he's going to be a standout player this year. Another one is going to be Luke Hill, the shortstop out of Arizona State. Guy was a beast last year. He had over 50 RBIs as a shortstop. You don't usually get that type of production from him. Just a lot of new faces. Number 7 transfer portal class. It's looking good. It's a lot of young talent, different from what we're seeing as an Ole Miss ball club, because we have a lot of guys that like to, we're like a theater program, build the guys and let their talent run through the program, and they become the players that they are, such as Jake Gonzalez, other type of people, just ball players like that.
Yeah, and one of the most important things about recruiting in college is recruiting in your own state. If you can get the best players in your state, it's the biggest win ever. And that's what we did with Campbell Smithwick. The second overall player in the class from Mississippi and the 63rd overall in just the entire class is massive. He hit 463 in high school, which who knows what high school talent is, but that's still an insane number. And to bring that here, he's going to be a freshman. He's supposed to be out versus Hawaii. That could also change because of an injury. But I just cannot wait to see him grow throughout, because when you have guys in the past like Dunhurst and Calvin Harris, they were just so solid with the bat and with the glove. And Bianco knows how to coach catchers. He really has shown in the past that he knows how to coach catchers. And when you talk about there's so many new faces, we still have a couple people returning. Yes, Mout's the only player on this team from that championship roster. Which he's going to be great this year. He's the closer He's the closer that we need. He was out all last year, but he played such a massive role in that championship run. So I cannot wait to see him come back. But people like Groff, Leger, Udemark, those are really important bats that we're going to have coming back. Will Furness, I don't think he's going to start. I could be wrong, but I would love to see him start. But he had a lot of really big at-bats last year. He had that huge go-ahead home run off of Paul Skeens, who won the Player of the Year last year. Ole Miss baseball, once they won that championship, has cemented their name as even before the championship, Ole Miss baseball has always been in the top. So with recruiting and the transfer portal, it's not hard to recruit. Lane shows it for football, and with here, we're showing it in baseball. So you can never, if you don't know the players yet, you're going to pretty soon.
I agree with that. And you talk about Josh Mallett's being as one of the only guy from that national championship team. But there are still guys from last year who were back again, and those guys felt the pain of last year. It was a very, very bad season.
Year, yeah.
It was awful. We'd even make it to Hoover. And that's the thing. We don't want to be back there again. And those guys, I think, are motivated by that, Coach Bianco and the whole coaching staff. That's why they were so active in their recruiting in the transfer portal, getting guys like the other guy. You were talking about the catcher. And it's just one thing that I'm going to say is that I don't know what we're going to do with Hunter Elliott and Xavier Rivas out with our bullpen rotation. It's going to be different and difficult to see because, you need a lot of depth in the SEC. It's the best conference when it comes to college baseball.
Yeah, the starting rotation, I could pretty much only say that JT Quinn and Grayson Saunier are the only 2 starters. I don't know who's going to start the midweeks. I don't know who's going to start the Sunday game.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see who ends up stepping into that ace role, especially when, Rivas and Elliott, who were so vital to the team. I mean, Elliott was in and out last year, but it'll definitely be interesting to see who all steps in.
And when you think about the long run, before we won a championship, everyone was like, get Bianco out of here. And then we won a championship, let's re-sign Bianco. And the last year we missed the postseason. Do you think if we missed it again?
When I was the ones in 20 years he's been here, very rare year for him.
Very, very rare. Do you think if he misses it back-to-back years, he's back on do you think it's time to?
For surely, because also all the renovations that they're about to start doing with the stadium, they're putting their money up front, and they don't want to. They had that national championship. This is supposed to, spring Ole Miss baseball into the next expedition of the near future. And if Bianco doesn't make it this year, it's a really bad look.
Again, love Bianco. He deserves a statue. Every Ole Miss fan loves him. But I think it's been such a long time that.
What's so crazy too, the whole baseball program is centered around him. He has built it. It's his. So, I mean, even the way the stadium's built now, they built it how he wanted to, with the weight room at a certain place. But, it would definitely be interesting to see if dare I say, doesn't do well this year and, ends up leaving. But, Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how it plays
I'm so
out.
excited.
But I think there's great potential.
Oh yeah,
I do.
I can't wait to see how it's always fun watching the first week because you don't ever know what the team's made of. So go to Hawaii and play 4 games. I cannot wait for first pitch.
Yeah, will definitely be interesting to see how it all turns out. But that's all we have for tonight. Make sure to tune in next week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you and good night.